Julia's arms were crossed, trying to contain her anger. "You're doing what here?" she asked, her voice sharp. William frowned. "I should be asking you that. I saw you on TV, William. You were at an event last night, talking about taking over your family's company." He ran a hand through his hair, letting out a long sigh. "Julia, you lied to me." "I never lied," she shot back. "Oh, really? Then tell me, William, what were you doing there last night while telling me you didn't want this world?" He was silent for a moment. "I didn't have a choice." "There's always a choice," Julia said, her chest tightening. He took a deep breath. "I do want something real. I do, but that's not what it looked like." He stepped closer, taking her hands. "Julia, please listen to me." She pulled away, stepping back. "I trusted you, William. And now I see I was naive." He looked at her as if he could feel the fear of losing her. "Don't go. I don't belong in this world, William. Do you think I do?" Tears threatened to fall. She turned and walked out of the hotel, leaving him standing alone, swallowed by emptiness. That night, Julia sat on her porch, hugging her knees. Her mother came out, sitting beside her. "Do you want to talk about it?" she asked. "I thought he was different," Julia whispered. "Maybe he is, but people make mistakes," her mother said softly. Julia frowned. "What if he was never honest with me?" "There's only one way to find out," her mother replied kindly. Julia stared at the sky, unsure if she even wanted to know the truth. Meanwhile, across the city, William sat alone in his hotel office, staring at the lights below. He had spent his life searching for something real, and now that he had found it, he was about to lose it. He couldn't let that happen. The next day, Julia tried to bury herself in work, ignoring how much she missed him. William, meanwhile, threw himself into the family business, but each morning at the diner felt empty without her. He knew waiting for her forgiveness wasn't enough. He had to prove he was willing to change. By nightfall, he made a decision. He would leave Stone Hotels, the only way to show Julia and himself that he wasn't trapped by his family's expectations. The next morning, headlines blared. "William Stone resigns from Stone Hotels, chooses a new path." Julia read it 3 times, heart pounding. Could it be true? Had he done it for her? Without thinking, she grabbed her phone. "Julia, we need to talk." "William, tell me where and when." The cafe near the park was nearly empty when Julia arrived. William walked in, lighter yet serious, and sat across from her. "You really left the company?" she asked. "Yes," he nodded. "Why?" "Because it wasn't what I wanted," he replied, meeting her gaze. "And what do you want?" she whispered. "I want to build something of my own, something meaningful. And you've always meant something to me." Julia felt a shiver run through her. She didn't know if she could trust him, but something inside her told her that this time, things were different. The days after their cafe meeting were calm, yet full of purpose. Julia and William kept in touch cautiously, stepping into unfamiliar territory. She wanted to believe he had changed, and everything pointed to that. William seemed lighter, more genuine, finally free from the life his family had planned for him. One afternoon, Julia was at the diner when a familiar car pulled up. William stepped out and walked in, taking his usual spot at the counter. "I thought you had forgotten the way here," Julia teased, pouring his coffee. "Hard to forget when this is the best coffee in town," he replied with a smile. They talked about life, work, and dreams. William shared his plan to open a new hotel, smaller, more personal, with meaning beyond luxury. "And what about me?" Julia asked softly. "I was wondering if you'd like to be part of it," William said. Her eyes widened. "You mean my bakery inside your hotel?"
Yes.
"Your dream, your space combined with mine. A new start together." Julia's heart raced. The idea was thrilling and terrifying. But a voice inside her whispered that maybe it was worth the risk. The following days were filled with planning and preparation. They visited the coastal town William had loved as a child, the site where the hotel would rise. Julia helped select every detail for the bakery. William focused on the hotel renovation. "This place has history," Julia said, surveying the old mansion. "Yes," William nodded. "That's why I want to restore it, not replace it." They discussed the bakery's name.
Julia smiled softly. La dolce vita.
"The sweet life." "That's perfect," William said. "Your dream now has a name." As construction moved forward, they faced challenges. The building was older than expected, and costs were rising. But Julia and William stayed firm. "I'd rather delay and do it right than rush and compromise," Julia said. William squeezed her hand. "That's one of the things I admire most about you." Months passed. The hotel and bakery took shape. Julia tested recipes, perfected menus, and organized furniture. William oversaw renovations, checking every detail point. One cold evening, they walked along the beach. William took her hand and stopped. "You know this," he gestured between them, "isn't just about the hotel, right?" Julia's heart raced. "What do you mean?" "It's always been about you. You changed everything for me." Tears filled her eyes. "I feel the same way," she whispered. He smiled. "Promise me something." "What?" "That you won't run away when things get hard." Julia felt a lump in her throat. "I promise." Finally, the hotel and bakery were nearly ready. The coastal town seemed alive with new possibilities. Julia arranged pastries, feeling the warmth of achievement. William moved through the hotel, ensuring every detail was perfect. Together, they had built something real. The grand opening arrived. Guests trickled in, tasting Julia's pastries and enjoying William's hotel. Compliments warmed Julia's heart. William's confident presence reassured her. That night, they sat by the ocean, watching the moonlight dance on the waves. "I can't believe this really happened," Julia said. "Believe it," William replied. "You worked hard for this." Julia smiled. "I never would have made it this far without you." William took her hand. "You would have, but I'm glad we did it together." The silence between them was comfortable, filled only by the waves. The hotel and bakery were running better than Julia and William could have imagined. Every day felt like a step toward their shared dream. Julia loved seeing customers enjoy her pastries, while William ensured the hotel's guests had perfect experiences. But life, as always, had a way of testing happiness. One afternoon, while Julia was arranging supplies in the bakery, her phone rang. The number was unknown, yet something inside told her to answer. "Hello," she said cautiously. A familiar voice came through. "Julia, it's been a long time." Her fingers tightened around the phone. "What do you want, Eric?" "I just wanted to see how you're doing. I heard your bakery is doing well." Her stomach twisted. Eric, her ex, represented a past she wanted to forget, a past full of empty promises and disappointment. "I don't know how you got my number, but don't call me again," Julia said firmly and hung up. Later, William walked into the bakery and noticed her distraction. "Is everything okay?" he asked, concern in his eyes. "Just an unwanted call," she replied, forcing a smile. William took her hand. "If someone upset you, I want to know." Julia hesitated, then admitted. "It was my ex." William was silent for a moment, his jaw tense. Then he said, "I want you to promise me something." "You mean he won't ruin what we've built?" Julia asked, surprised. "Yes. You have a future to build with me." Her eyes softened. "And that future includes you?" "If you wanted to," he replied softly. "I do," she whispered, squeezing his hand. And at that moment, Julia realized the past no longer had power over her. The future, and William, was what mattered. days turned into weeks. The bakery thrived, and the hotel was nearly ready to open. Julia and William spent every moment planning, decorating, and overseeing final touches. Their partnership had grown stronger. They were not just dreamers, but builders of a life together. One cold evening, as they finished reviewing the hotel plans, William hesitated before speaking. Julia, have you ever thought about the future? What do you mean? I mean with me. In 10, 20, 50 years. Yes, she answered immediately. William smiled and knelt before her, slipping a small velvet box from his pocket. Julia, from the moment you helped me, my life changed. You taught me that happiness isn't about money or status. It's about being with someone who makes everything worthwhile. You make everything worthwhile. Will you marry me? Tears streamed down her face. Yes, she cried. He slipped the ring onto her finger and embraced her tightly. The entire bakery erupted in applause. In that moment, surrounded by warmth, light, and the smell of fresh pastries, Julia and William knew that their love had been sealed, not just by dreams realized, but by hearts choosing each other. The months that followed were filled with excitement, hard work, and anticipation. The Coastal Hotel and Julia's bakery, La Dolce Vita, were running beautifully. Every corner reflected their dreams, every pastry and guest experience a testament to their dedication. But the most important milestone was yet to come. Their wedding. It was a perfect late afternoon by the sea. The sun hung low in the sky, painting everything in shades of gold and orange. A soft breeze carried the gentle sound of waves to the ceremony area, where white flowers lined the aisle on the sand. Friends, family, and the townspeople who had watched their journey stood gathered, their faces full of joy. Julia walked slowly down the aisle, her light, flowing dress catching the wind. Her eyes were fixed on William, standing at the altar, his expression a mixture of love, admiration, and awe. She had never felt more certain of anything in her life. William took her hands as she reached him, his eyes never leaving hers. The officiant began the ceremony, but to them, the world outside seemed to disappear. When I met you, Julia, I didn't know what true happiness was, William began. I thought I had everything, but everything changed because of you. You taught me what love really means. Tears welled in Julia's eyes. William, you've shown me that dreams can come true. That love is about support, trust, and building something together. I promise to stand by your side through every challenge, every triumph, and every ordinary moment life gives us. The officiant smiled and concluded the ceremony. By the power vested in me, I now pronounce you husband and wife. William didn't wait another second. He kissed Julia tenderly, a kiss full of promises, love, and a lifetime ahead. The crowd erupted in applause, but all Julia could feel was William's warmth, his heart beating in perfect sync with hers. The newlyweds' life in the coastal town was everything they had hoped for. Julia's bakery became a local favorite, loved by tourists and residents alike. William's hotel thrived as a cozy, welcoming escape from the ordinary. Together, they nurtured their shared dream while enjoying every small, meaningful moment. One morning, as Julia prepared pastries in her bakery, William walked in quietly, holding a cup of coffee for her. You've made all of this possible, he said softly, leaning against the counter. Julia smiled, warmth spreading through her chest. We made it together. He took her hand, their fingers intertwining naturally. And we'll keep building it, every day, side by side. Julia laughed softly, the sound mingling with the sea breeze. Yes, every day. As the sun set over the ocean, they stood outside, holding each other, watching the golden waves shimmer. For the first time, there were no doubts, no past shadows, no fear. Only love, trust, and a future they would build together. Julia and William had found more than success. They had found each other, and with that, everything else fell into place. Life after their wedding brought a new kind of happiness, steady, warm, and full of purpose. Julia and William had built more than a hotel and a bakery. They had created a life together that reflected their dreams, values, and love. The bakery, La Dolce Vita, became the heart of the coastal town. Julia experimented with new recipes, adding seasonal specials that drew locals and tourists alike. William, meanwhile, focused on making the hotel a welcoming haven, adding personalized touches that reflected his and Julia's vision, a place where guests felt like family. One sunny morning, as Julia was kneading dough for croissants, William entered the bakery, holding a small envelope. "What's this?" she asked, wiping her hands on her apron. "Open it," he said with a smile. Inside was a letter from a travel magazine. Their hotel had been chosen as one of the top 10 boutique hotels to visit this
year.
Julia's eyes widened. "This is amazing," she exclaimed, hugging William tightly. "All our hard work, it paid off." William laughed softly, brushing her hair from her face. "We did it together. And this is just the beginning." Despite their success, challenges didn't disappear. There were days when construction delays, staffing issues, or recipe experiments went wrong. But Julia and William faced them as a team. One afternoon, a sudden storm threatened the hotel's newly landscaped garden. William rushed outside, directing staff and ensuring safety. Julia, watching from the bakery window, felt a surge of admiration. She realized that life with William wasn't always easy, but it was worth it. Every chaotic, unpredictable moment later, that evening, they sat on the beach, watching the waves calm after the storm. "You know," Julia said softly, "I never imagined life could feel this full and real." William squeezed her hand. "It's because we chose it, Julia. Every choice, every risk we took, it brought us here. And I wouldn't change a thing," she added, leaning her head on his shoulder. Months passed, and their bond only deepened. The town had embraced their businesses, and guests returned again and again, sharing laughter, stories, and memories within their walls. One quiet night, as they closed the bakery, William turned to Julia, his eyes shining. "Do you remember that night at the cafe? When I first asked you to join me in this adventure," he asked. "How could I forget?" she smiled. "I was terrified, but I said yes." "And look at us now," William said, gazing at the ocean. "We took a risk. We built something real. And through it all, we never gave up on each other." Julia smiled, resting her hand on his chest. "I think we were always meant to find this life together." William nodded, his heart full. "Always." And so, in the quiet, coastal town with golden sunsets and gentle waves, Julia and William continued their journey, building a life full of love, purpose, and shared dreams. Challenges would come and go, but their bond was unshakable. They had learned that happiness wasn't just about success or money or status. It was about trust, growth, and loving someone through every season of life. The bakery and hotel flourished, their hearts flourished, and in each other, they had found home. The end for now. Revolving Hearts.